Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Tuesday unveiled budget for fiscal year 2022 and 2023 with an aim to boost growth amid continued disruption from COVID-19 and rising inflation. Some of the highlights were: the biggest focus was on infrastructure spending. Taxpayers can now file an updated return within 2 years from relevant assessment year. However, there has been no change in personal income tax slabs. Income from transfer of any virtual digital asset shall be taxed at the rate of 30%. Besides, corporate surcharge has been reduced from 12% to 7%. Joining me today, we have Mr. Laeeq Ali, who's going to be discussing with us a little more on this and what are the positive responses, what are the negative responses, and how is this wave of startups in India going to take the future ahead. Laeeq is a first-generation entrepreneur and is passionate about building business brands with a purpose. He comes with more than 2 decades of experience in the areas of branding, advertising, marketing, and communications. Laeeq co-founded Origami Creative, a boutique creative firm, in the year 2000, and Bloombox Brand Engineers, a brand consulting entity with presence in Bangalore, Dubai, and Canada. The group has grown to be a family of around 100 now, with multiple interests in the field of business brand consulting, marketing and advertising of food and beverage. We're going to be discussing about the post-budget review for the budget 2022 and 2023. Thank you, Mr. Laeeq Ali, for joining in and doing this with us. So to jump right in and ask you, what is your take on the budget that has been unveiled today? I mean, thinking of how the last 2 years have been for the country, what is the response that you've been getting, and what is your take on it?
Yeah, firstly, thank you for having me here. I think there's a lot of mixed reviews doing the rounds already, but I would saying that, okay, at one level, one relief is there are no changes in the taxation front. So that is one huge relief. At the second end, when you look at it, this enhanced capital expenditure allocation, which has come from the government, and that is going to throw open a lot of possibilities, I feel, because it will have a trickle-down effect over a period of time. So these are two great aspects, but largely I would say this is a digital as well as a startup India budget. That's what the take is. Yeah. So
yeah, I just wanted to get at that because you being a startup founder yourself, I think the wave of startups is happening right now in the country, right? So do you think addressing this in the budget has been the right thing to do, especially with what has been mentioned with regard to the incentive for startups, right? So what is your take on that?
See, this is an area which is growing in India, and we know the talk of the country has been startup for quite some time at this point of time, right? So, which means one step which is taken towards it is the tax incentives for startups and the extension of the date by 1 more year, and which is going to encourage and motivate a lot of people to start up, because you're going to get 3 years tax savings from being a startup. So that's a great sign for sure. So, and I think it is working to the advantage of startups in some form.
Right. And since you mentioned, if you can simplify this for our audience who's just watching this, who could understand what it means by the tax incentive being there for 3 consecutive years. So if, let's say, I'm a startup founder, how would it benefit me?
So how would it benefit you if you, like, for example, let's take a hypothesis that you have started a company as of 2000, as of now, today.
Right.
So, which means that, or maybe even in the coming financial year also, if you have started something, which means that your startup, if it is registered as a startup, and if it falls into the bracket of startup, then you are eligible for 3 years tax saving out of a total window of 10 years. So you can claim tax incentives for 3 years among that total 10-year window. So, which is a great thing for anybody, right? Because you're able to save 3 years tax, and you can decide what that 3 years can be, and you don't need to necessarily take it in the beginning year where you're going to have a lot of losses on that particular front.
Right. And so of course, this is the positive side to it. But since you also mentioned like there have been mixed reviews, what is the negative aspect, or I'd say the cons of this budget that people have been talking about?
Always the question is saying that, okay, is it enough? Can we do better? Obviously, startups being startups, they're very demanding. They don't know
Right.
where to get the monies from. So, even while there are schemes which is declared, they don't even know how to tap into those schemes which is there. So there is a lot of apprehensions around that. But yeah, so there could be more work which is done around the same thing. So negativity probably would be around that. The other beautiful thing which I spotted was the fund which the government is trying to float, which is like a blended capital mode based under like a co-investment model, and which they're going to float under NABARD. And that is going to help a lot of startups in the agri and rural segment, right? And it's in fact going to impact the entire farm produce value chain in its entirety. So that we are going to have a lot of good things there. Yes, there can be like everybody wants more and more schemes to be pushed to them, but then finally we are in business. We don't figure out ways to do business on our own. Then why are we in business, right? So there will be pros and cons to it, but I think overall it is on the positive side. There are good aspects which has come out from the budget.
Because I also think, if I'm not wrong, that this year for the budget, when they even introduced it, I think there has been like a overall perspective that's given to all sectors and not just focusing on one, right? Whether it's the startup, and I think the involvement of mental health as a program which is being launched, and especially with the base camp being at in Bangalore with NIMHANS coming in. So things like this obviously make it a point to show that over the last 2 years, yes, we may have faced a lot, but this could also give us a positive way for us to be optimistic to look into the future. And right. So with this thing, there's also the virtual digital asset that has been introduced, right? So if you could shed some light on that, because with that they have mentioned that any income from transfer of any virtual digital asset shall be taxed at the rate of 30%, which shows that there has been rise with crypto, there has been rise with NFTs, so much that has been spoken about, in the West, but introducing this in India, how could these two, like the mental health side of it, which is one thing that we can start talking about, and then moving on to the virtual digital assets, how could these two things, which I think I personally found out to stand out during the entire budget session, could have an impact in the country?
Yeah, so obviously, I think it's become more holistic, and we never expected such kind of things to be spoken about in India, right? Especially about mental health and stuff like that. So it's great that it's got picked up, and there is an initiative which is revolving around that. And the minute it gets started spoken around, that itself is a great sign. And I'm sure with an initiative like this, it is going to actually break a lot of myths around the same topic. It's going to break open a lot of access is going to come in between people who are struggling and to practitioners for that particular matter. We landed up doing a lot of work from CII as well as YI in that particular space. So it's a great initiative from the government on the health side, mental health side especially.
Right.
From a digital assets taxation perspective, you open LinkedIn, you open any of the forums, the only things what you see today is aspects about blockchain and crypto and NFT, and there's no post which is without those keywords nowadays.
Yeah.
So the buzzword has been that, but there has been a lot of apprehensions around the same thing, right? Because we don't know whether, till now we never knew that it is whether crypto and bitcoins are going to be banned in India. So a lot of people were very apprehensive about putting money in there. Only the high-end risk takers probably jumped into it, especially the millennials and all of that, but all the others were a little apprehensive about it. So two aspects there. One, what has it done? You have given a taxation of 30%, so which in turn is solidified, and it's a positive sign for me, because you are assuring people saying that, okay, that crypto is going to stay.
Right.
But the other aspect, which is in the fine line there, is that the loss which comes out from any of these aspects or from crypto cannot be traded off. So I see that as a bigger issue there. So it's
Yeah.
fine print.
Hmm.
So I was listening to somebody and they said saying that okay, there might be a lot of fine print which we'll have to go through in terms of numbers. Then only we'll be able to really realize in terms of what the impact of this budget is going to be.
Right. But I also think, I mean, having said that, everything comes with its pros and cons. But the fact that India has been able to address that investing can come in different forms now, I think that's the, the new way to look at it is the fact that startups are being recognized, digital currency is being recognized, different ways of investment are being recognized. So that's the one way that we could possibly, look into this, right? And coming back to the entire startup synergy that is there in the country, I'd want to also ask that women entrepreneurs, there is obviously, I'd say a percentage less than how it would be on the scale for men being founders, right? Because there's not much scope for women entrepreneurs, and of course that has changed over the past. This is not a generalized statement, and this could probably be a little bit of a diversion, but like, let's take for example the show that is airing on Sony right now, which is Shark Tank India. You're seeing women who are coming from the age of 70, and there are girls who are at the age of 21 also being startup owners. So do you think in India, at least with even shows like this or just inspiration that we have around us, seeing women on the forefront being as founders is super inspirational? So I think it's safe to say that there is one founder at least in one family right now, or at least aspiring to be, and with this budget that could also sort of empower more people
It
to move
is.
on and do it.
Yes, it is. I think if there was a simple line, I would say it's a great time to be a woman in India at this point of time, because so much of opportunity is coming our way. I know Karnataka government is doing something very specific for women entrepreneurs. So
Okay.
I think there's no good time for women entrepreneurs. There are more schemes which is going to come your way. So more and
Right.
more people. And I think I have a way to look at it, saying that okay, I think women are much more better entrepreneurs than startup entrepreneurs than men. So they do a great job because they know how to go into the finer aspects of various things. So they make great entrepreneurs. We need more women to come out there and become entrepreneurs, become leading lights of the country. So.
Right. And so having said that, I think even over the last 2 years, what had a drawback was the education sector, education and healthcare also, right? But healthcare, of course, there's a lot that's being spoken about of how to generate that income back again and get them back onto this thing. But children have also been affected with this, where just staying at home also didn't make them feel motivated to do that. So with this new one class one TV channel that has been increased, and the announcement of it, how do you think this would help the future generation to sort of like get new skills, and what is the digital education future going to look like according to you?
Oh, EdTech has been doing the rounds. So we know that it is one of the key topic areas or hot topic areas that ways. And it is helping a lot of people for sure, whether it's about skilling, reskilling, upskilling, whatever. And that particular initiative, what they've put forth, I think it's going to have a very positive impact on the country at large, right? Because we all, irrespective of whether we start working or by choice or not, at some stage, once we are into our jobs, we realize saying that, okay, probably there is a need for us to be reskilled or upskilled. And most of the time when people who are especially in the MSME segment don't even get trained for anything, right? So here is a brilliant opportunity to get access to something where you're going to probably get reskilled or upskilled, and you're going to get a better payout or a better opportunity is going to open up for you. So I see it's a great initiative. It is something which I've been personally passionate about, and I'm working on another startup idea of mine in that same space, in the marketing space. So Let's see. I think I'm very positive in Gango about that particular issue.
That's very nice. So, you also mentioned, right before this, that the Karnataka government has also come or is going to come up with new schemes for women entrepreneurs. Could you shed some light on at least like one of it, so we get to understand what it could be like?
There was I was listening to somebody, I forgot her name, one of the key people in the government level, and she was mentioning that they've devised a scheme and they're in the process of rolling it out. They've
Okay.
not yet branded it, and I think it's not yet out in the open. But I think you should keep referring to the Karnataka startup website, the KBITS website, and I think you will find more details which will pop up there very soon.
Right. So I think we've covered most the important highlights of the budget 2022. And to wrap this up, I just want to ask you if you have one message for future entrepreneurs or anyone who's watching this video who is interested to start their new journey with startups in India, because it's the right time to do that. And getting an insight from someone like you who's been in the industry for so long would help out a lot of people. So your last thoughts, please.
Last thoughts come from a session which I attended yesterday, last evening, and where Chetan Maini was telling us about how when they were just about to launch REVA in India, government came up with a macroeconomic policy which made it unviable for them to launch REVA in India. So with every adversity, there is another opportunity which comes up. What they did was they started looking at international markets, and we just helped them go global instead of just going only Indian. Right. So with every uncertainty and every adversity, there is an opportunity out there. Just try to stay positive, just look around, and you can still do great things in this VUCA world. So yeah, just dream big and just be at it. I think things will just follow you.
I think that's a really good way to end this, talk that I had with you. Thank you so much, Mr. Laeeq, for doing this, and good luck for your future startup that you just mentioned.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Pleasure.